What is the first thing when you heard about Indonesia? Most of you might be thinking about Bali, but how about our capital city itself, Jakarta? My name is Rizky and I'm here to share history of Jakarta. Before you want to know about how it's living in Jakarta, you must know the history how the Jakarta is being built and how the population is well growth until now. Jakarta is the capital city of Indonesia since 1966, like as another capital city in another country. Jakarta is the most crowded city in the world. It became very crowded for several reasons that happened a long time ago, even before Indonesia announced their independence. In the 12th century, Jakarta was first known as Sunda Kelapa, located at Ciliwung River for many of foreign traders coming from China, Japan, India, and Middle East. They carrying some goods into trade in this city, such as silk, horses, linen, porcelain, as well as wine, perfumes, coffee, and dye, in exchange for spices from Maluku, which became a trade commodity at the time. On the other hand, the city was later seized by a man known as Fathahila. Fathahila then changed the name of Sunda Kelapa to Jayakarta on 22 June 1527. In this date, that is celebrated as Jakarta anniversary. And then the Dutch come in the end of the 16th century, taken region over Jakarta by force. Jakarta at the beginning of the 7th century was governed by the Prince of Jayakarta, that was one of the relatives of the Sultanate of Banten. And then in the 1619, the VOC forces that was led by General Ian Peter Zonkun occupied Jakarta after beating the forces of the Sultanate of Banten, and then changed the name from Jakarta to Batavia. During the Dutch colonization, Batavia developed into a large and important city. For development for the city, the Netherlands have been importing many slaves and workers. Most of them came from Bali, Sulawesi, Maluku, China, and Malabar. Some scholars argue that they think that these people are the ones from who formed community known as the Betawi. Indonesia was occupied by Japan started in 1942. Japan forces changed the name of Batavia to become Jakarta. It proposed to attract the hearts of population during World War II. During the Japanese occupation, the city was totally worse and condition from bad, worse, very bad condition, because Japanese forces scavenge every part of the city to find a metal that they need to World War II. And then later the city of Jakarta, also the venue of the proclamation independence of the Republic Indonesia on 17 August 1945, and was later got occupied by the Dutch again after the downfall of the Japanese forces until the recognition of the sovereignty of Indonesia in 1949. In 1941, Jakarta's status got changed from the regional level into a special capital region, or maybe in Bahasa we know as DKI, Daerah Khusus Ibu Kota. Since Jakarta was declared as the capital city, then Jakarta population increased very rapidly due to the manpower requirement of government that almost entirely centered in Jakarta. Within 5 years, population of Jakarta increased more than 2 times. Various community of the middle class neighborhood got involved. Most of them like Kebayoran Baru, Cempaka Putih, Pulau Mas, Tebet, Pejompongan. Several settlement community that are also being built independently by various ministries and state institutions such as Perumnas, or we know as National Housing Board. And now Jakarta is a city with rapid economic growth rates. Currently, more than 17% of state money circulating in Jakarta market. The economy in Jakarta is supported by creative industries, property, services, trade, and finance. Okay, until now, Jakarta plays a central role of the development of Indonesia as a world country, and understanding the history of Jakarta is for understanding how to live in Jakarta. And some of you now knows the history of Jakarta. Why is Jakarta being like this, so crowded, and many issues that have never been resolved, like population, transportation, education, criminality, traffic jam, and most of all is flood. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Taufik, and today I want to talking about living in Jakarta. Jakarta is rather ugly. It grows a fast pace. You can find high skyscrapers next to hotels and all typical houses like the rest of Asia. Contrast between new and old mark. And this is a few aspects that you have to thinking about if you want to living in Jakarta. Expats usually live apartment in big complexes or super modern skyscrapers equipped with all sorts of modern comforts. Others choose or live in houses. As far as houses in Jakarta are concerned, you find some are quite big, some of them quite well maintained, which lists others are beat and run down. Many choose to live in building or an apartment block because everything is included: maintenance, assistance, and security. If you live in a house, you may suffer if you find that you happen to have a complicated and negligent landlord. Housing in general is pretty expensive and more or less the same as Europe. The good side of living in a compound is that, especially if you have a kid, you find yourself immediately within a community. There are always playgrounds with one or more swimming pools. Many also organize common activities. The cost of domestic staff is minimal, and you can find fantastic babysitters and maids, and even cooks. The wonderful thing about Jakarta is, which is true for all of Asia, is whether you need, they're available 24 hours a day, and price is low. There are many international schools and lots of expat associations, especially for women, that organize a lot of activities. For a non-working partner, unable to work by law, even if your partner has a working contract in here, it's impossible to be bored. And the one and only is the really big problem in Jakarta. Jakarta is the traffic. The dreaded traffic is like a noose around your neck, always dictating the daily quality of your life. This is why people desperately try to live as close as possible to schools or workplace. At peak hours, moving around can be an absolute nightmare. You will spend so much time in your car, and it will be wise to equip it with pillows, books, DVDs, computer, or dongles. Lucky are those who don't have to follow regular working hours at the traffic outside. Peak traveling time isn't too bad. It obviously requires a lot of motivation to move around by car. If you travel outside in Jakarta for a weekend, be prepared to spend hours in traffic queues. You do eventually get used to traffic. The locals don't know what road rage is and seem have to endless patience when driving. And the most beautiful aspect of living in Jakarta is undoubtedly the people. Indonesia are great. They are nice, cheerful, open, and welcoming. You never feel threatened. The city is safe, and it's really a relaxing place to live, except for the traffic. The country is developing very fast. Living in Jakarta means you're able to travel in one of the most beautiful countries in Southeast Asia. There are lots heavenly places just 1 hour flights away, and you learn quickly to overcome the issues traveling to the airport. After a while, you get understand the traffic rhyme and when it's a good time to move around. You can find all sorts of product in Indonesia, especially in Jakarta. There are plenty of shops for children, loads supermarket stocks with wonderful fruit, meat, and fresh fish. There are also all kinds of restaurants for all tastes. There are some large multi-duplex cinemas and a couple of small ones. Foreign culture centers is very active, and there are 2 wonderful and really interesting festivals every year. It's Java Jazz and the European Cinema Festival. Thank you for your attention. Maybe I have explained more about Jakarta in the next time, but today I have enough to explain this. Sorry if I have mistakes or mispronunciation. I hope it can help you for knowing living in Jakarta. Well, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fadhli RAMADHAN, and today I want to discuss the issue about education, especially in Jakarta. As a human, we really need the education, because without education, we can be easily fooled by other people. It's very important to give the education for the young children, so we can more easily teach them about politeness, respect the environment and the others. Education is very important for the nation to become the basis of the nation development. We must always prioritize the education, not just the ordinary education, but the education with the good quality. Jakarta Capital City Governor Anies Baswedan said the education sector become the priority of the government program. But he was disappointed because see the low quality of education development in Jakarta. So in next 5 years, he want to improve the quality of education in Jakarta. Education is the most important point to develop. He wants the quality of education in Indonesia not only to be equal with other region in Indonesia, but to be equal with the other region in all the world. Improving the quality of education to become the world class is not impossible, because Jakarta already has the financial budget or APBD to finance this program. Why Anies is very focused on improving the quality of education in Indonesia? Because there will be so many positive things from it. The first is forming the character. Education is the way to make someone character. With education, a people can be prepared to have a good education and be useful for everyone. And the second is prepare for a career. One of the main goal of a person taking the education is to prepare for their career in the future. Education is one of the main factor for you to get the job That's what you want. And the third point is making someone more ethical. Education is not only to make a person become smart, but also help making someone ethic. The people who have a good education will have the better ethic and know how to interact with other people with politely. And the fourth point is optimizing someone's talent. Every single person in this world must be born with the different talent. In the world of education, there is the opportunity for everyone to know and develop their talent. With education, you can develop your talent with optimal and can be benefit for other people. And the fifth point is prevent the crime. With education, people will understand what is good or bad, right or wrong. So it definitely has a good effect and know and useful to prevent the crime. Talking about crime or criminal become one of the biggest problem in Jakarta in education development. How? Because there is still so many student brawl happen. That often happen between the student in senior high school, even in the junior high school. So the government must quickly to solve this problem to make the education in Jakarta will be improved. Okay, and last, I hope the education in Jakarta, also all Indonesia, will be better than before. With so many good plans to do. Okay, I think that's all for me. I hope this discussion can be useful for everyone. I'm sorry if there is wrong word that I say before. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Fahmi BAYU ANUGERAH, and today's topics we are going to talk about problems living in Jakarta. There's so many things that can be explained, so I think on this occasion I will only talk about the natural conditions that occur in Jakarta. Jakarta is such a big city. There are so many people who want to live, and so makes them move from their village to this capital city of Indonesia. But don't they realize that there are so many problems that faced by Jakarta? There are so many things that can be criticized, such as flooding, and then garbage handling, and then contamination such as water contamination, air contamination, seas, rivers, and so on. There are so many. Talking about these problems, of course, in our mind there are always, where are the governmental responsibility to take an action just to solve this kind of problems? But in my mind, I always believe that, of course, the governmental have tried so many ways just to solve those problems. But why do all of those things are still happening? I think one of the problems that make impactful about these problems is the very high of population growth in Jakarta. Even in 2019, there are more than 10 million people live in Jakarta. It is such a huge number of population. So how to solve the problems of environmental if there are so many people that don't care about the environmental. I think to solve the problems, the governmental have to make an equitable development to other regions too, such as infrastructure and then transportations and so on. I think it is one of the most important. And then also the government have to move the major industry to other region too, because I think one of the reason why they move from their village to such a big city is because they want to make a better life. They want to find a job. So I think if they already have their own industrial area in their own region, I think they will think twice just to move to Jakarta or other big city, because I think they will be proud because their own region is already developed as another big city, even though it's just a small part of it. And then the environmental condition, I think the governmental have created a legislation about taking care of our environmental. It is legislation number 32 in 2009 about taking care of our environmental. But I think the society didn't implement this legislation rightly. They do not care. But if there are any problems, they always ask the governmental to solve the problems. So to sum up, wherever we are, in such big city or in other region or small town, our environmental, it should be cared by ourselves first. If you don't care about environmental, so never ask the governmental just to solve this kind of problems. Well, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much, and please apologize my mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.